Hello, Tar Heel Nation. Welcome to another episode of UNC Hoops Talk podcast. I'm your host, Dan DeWitt. This is the podcast for the fans by a fan, and I am so glad that you have chose to listen or watch this podcast and come along on the ride that is UNC Hoops with me. And this week, we are going to recap Late Night with Roy. That was last Friday. And we're going to kind of take a look at also what happened, what it was like, what we could catch, or what I caught anyway. A little bit on recruiting as far as Late Night with Roy went. And then look at the upcoming season, of course, some polls and awards out there. Announcement for the staff at UNC basketball program. And then we're going to spend a lot of time this podcast on player predictions. Last podcast, which was still in October, we're ramping up the season. There is no better time than this except for maybe March. But the excitement's in the air, college basketball is in the air. So we predicted the record last podcast, and if you didn't catch that, go check it out. I went through the entire schedule, what I thought would be win-loss, and then our overall record, what it would be. So definitely check that out. But this week we're going to spend individual players and kind of what my predictions and also some other predictions for the players and their production or productivity and what it'll be this year. So I hope you'll stick around to listen to that and also give your feedback. I can be reached on Twitter at alltarheeldan. Email unchoopstalk@gmail.com. You can leave a comment on the YouTube video if that's what you're watching. But I would love for you to connect with me. There's lots of other places as well. Vine, Instagram, here on Blab sometimes. I don't know. There's lots of them. It'll be listed in the description. All the links to get a hold of me. You can look in the description. And pretty much it's all Tar Heel Dan everywhere. So I hope you'll do that and give me what you think I went wrong, where you think I'm spot on, and we'll see how it goes as we go through the season. So again, I'm so glad that you're here with me, and I'm ready to jump in. So let's go ahead and do that right now. So first, Late Night with Roy wasn't broadcast except for on Go Heels TV, which you had to pay for the subscription. I'm really sorry, but I'm not going to pay the $10 just for Late Night with Roy, so I did not watch Late Night with Roy. I kept up on Twitter through pictures. I had people even that were there tweeting and sending me pictures. Snapchat is a good place as well to keep up with that kind of stuff, especially the college age group of kids. They're all on Snapchat, and they're all snapping away at Late Night with Roy. Plus, there was like 2 official UNC Snapchat accounts that were tweeting or snapping about it. There was a Jumpman 23 one, the Jordan brand. They were snapping some cool stuff from Late Night. So definitely a lot of even behind the scenes stuff that you're able to keep up with. And then, of course, afterwards, the highlight videos come out and all that good stuff. But to me, really, Late Night and really throughout basketball, Midnight Madness has kind of gone by the wayside. We've had for the past month, really, people having their Midnight Madness, whatever it's called, at their respective schools. Florida's was, I think, almost a month ago. Kentucky was a couple weeks ago. Duke was like last week or the previous weekend before ours. Ours was this past Friday. And it used to be a big production on ESPN. They'd jump from place to place and kind of check in. And even UNC would stream theirs for free. You could watch the full thing. I think one year it was on ESPN3. You could watch the whole thing. So in that sense, it's kind of going by the wayside. But also, I think even the excitement within, because it's not the start of practice, people have seen kind of clips of practice or even the summer pickup games. It's just not as catchy or flashy as it used to be. And the skits are kind of getting old. I know I saw somebody tweet that we should just have a big concert and kind of put on a show for the recruits instead of having our guys in the dance team and stuff like that do all these skits and stuff. I didn't see a lot of the skits. I saw a couple of the dances and whatnot, but it's getting outdated almost. We need to innovate and come up with something new and really excite these recruits and make them want to come to UNC, or at least just give them something else entertaining while they're at UNC, um, to maybe bump us up on their list, or whatever. These kids, they're 17, 18, even 16 sometimes when they're being recruited, and they want to see. You think of all the, and we did this, but you see all the different uniforms that come out, especially college football. And kids just eat that stuff up. And like I said, UNC basketball is doing this. They have the black jerseys this year that they're going to wear during the UCLA game, and they wore those for one of the dances or whatever, and kind of revealed them. But you see that video that came out on YouTube about Marcus showing the team that uniform, and they're going nuts. I mean, that's the stuff they want, and kids will eat that stuff up. So I think we need to change up late night with a little bit, or even, I don't know, there's got to be something new. There's not the excitement. There's not the, again, for the people that were there, I'm sure it was awesome. I wish I lived closer and could go to things like that, especially when they're free and you can get that kind of first look, or, better look at the team, even if it is just kind of a scrimmage between them, and not much to take away from it as far as basketball goes. But to me, I think we need to change it up a little bit. Like I said, we're going to talk about recruiting a little bit, and obviously I did already, in the fact that I think we need to switch up what's going on at late night. But we had a lot of recruits at late night, and I feel like the list I have here is even a little outdated. So if I miss somebody, I'm sorry. I got this list in front of me, and I will put all the links that I refer to, again, in the show notes, or in the description of the video, so you can go check them out. But first one here is from scout.com, the North Carolina affiliate anyway with it. In person at Late Night with Roy, we had our 3 commits, which for the 2016 class is Tony Bradley, the 6'9", center/power forward, who was our first commit for next year. We had Brandon Robinson, the 6'5", wing shooting guard, in person, from Georgia, committed just a few weeks ago, and then we had Jalik Felton, who is a 2017 class, 6'4", point guard. Of course, we know Raymond Felton's nephew. We've been through that story on the podcast already as well. Kind of wavered and then gave his 100% commitment after Tony Bradley committed. But they were all in person at Late Night with Roy. And then as far as remaining recruits, we had 7th Woods, which is a big-time recruit out of South Carolina. We've been after him for a long time, has taken official visits to Georgetown, UNC, and South Carolina, pretty much coming down to South Carolina and UNC. Don't think he's made a decision yet, but he has decided that he will announce a decision on November 11. So he's kind of putting a timetable, at least, on his decision. I don't know, interesting. I thought we kind of had him. I think it could be kind of 50-50 if we do any more. So we'll find out soon enough, though, in the next couple weeks on November 11 if he's coming. And then a big time recruit, Raleigh Atkins, the 6'4", 200-pound shooting guard, small forward, deciding between a bunch of the big time schools: Indiana, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisville, State, us. But has moved from New York to North Carolina to Raleigh to play at Word of God in Raleigh. 5-star guy. He's ranked number 20 overall in the 2016 class. Would be big time for us to get him for that class. I don't think we're going to. I think we're in a little bit late. And of course, like we talked about ad nauseum, all the crap going on around North Carolina. I just don't think we're going to get him. And then the last guy that I have that was in attendance, again, I think there may have been one or two other guys in attendance, but the one on my list here is Udoka Azubuike. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but he's a 6'10", 275-pound center out of Florida. Big bruiser, kind of like Kennedy Meeks. Would need to slim down and get going if he committed to us. He's number 36 overall guy in the 2016 class. Again, I don't think we're going to get him, unfortunately. But of course, it'd be nice, and you gotta try if you're Roy. So yeah, can't really blame him there. Those are the guys who were in attendance at late night with Roy, and yeah, that's pretty much wraps up late with Roy. I think we gotta entertain those guys better than what we do. Um, but yeah, transitioning into coming up this season, North Carolina, a lot of the polls, awards, preseason Player of the Year, and All America teams and stuff like that are coming out. CBS has North Carolina ranked number one. I believe it was somebody else, maybe ESPN, had them tied with Kentucky for number one. But they're going to be that 1-2. Maybe there's a poll that drops them to 3 or 4, but they're going to be in the top 5 in every poll coming out. Marcus Page on at least 2 or 3 lists I've seen of the ACC Player of the Year. Preseason again, he was last year as well, and he was injured and kind of struggled a little bit as far as consistency and numbers goes. So he didn't win postseason, which is when it really matters. But he's back on the ACC first team preseason. He's in the All-American teams. I don't know that that's the first team, but second and third teams. He's getting that recognition that he deserves for his hard work, along with other guys. Justin Jackson, that's my honorable mention. I think Bryce Johnson is in there. So yeah, all that preseason stuff really doesn't matter. I do like to see Roy kind of accepting being ranked number one preseason and hopefully challenging these guys to really live up to that. But again, all this preseason stuff doesn't matter. It comes down to how you perform and where you end up at the end of the season. And like Roy likes to say, if we take care of that team stuff, the individual stuff will be right there. If we're a Final Four team, if we're a national championship contender, the All-America teams, the ACC teams and Player of the Years, and all those awards are going to be there if we're a good team and you're doing your job. And that goes for Marcus, Bryce, Justin Jackson, any of those guys. They're going to get the recognition they earn, if we're at the top and if they're doing their jobs and playing well. One little tidbit before we really get into the meat and potatoes of this podcast. Just announced, I believe, last night. I'm recording this on Tuesday, October 27th, but Monday night it was announced that Sean May is joining the staff at UNC. He will be the assistant director of basketball operations or something pretty low on the totem pole, but he'll get to see kind of what the coaches do day to day, get his feet wet as far as college basketball coaching goes, and see if that's where he wants to go next. Had a 10-year professional career playing basketball, mostly overseas, but you can't knock that. Still better than a lot of people. And see if that's where he wants to go, see if he can work his way up and either at North Carolina or move on to another school as an assistant and come back, or who knows. But best of luck to Sean, and glad to have him back on the squad a decade after winning a national championship for us. So it'll be exciting to see him around campus even more. He's always been active with the program and supportive of the guys for sure. But working with the guys and just being around, it'll be great. So as far as the podcast goes going forward, obviously this is the second podcast of October that we're doing, and kind of working my way up. We know in the off season, if you pay attention or if you follow the podcast, it's once a month in the off season, and then weekly during the season. But I'm trying to ramp myself up here, doing 2 in October. I think we'll probably end up doing 3 in November. Maybe taking the first week off with not much going on, and then getting into the weekly stuff. So by December and throughout the season, we're going 4 times a month, weekly, keeping up on the games and all the happenings that is UNC hoops. So again, glad that you're along for the ride, and I hope you'll join in the conversation with me, either tweeting with me, messaging with me, whatever it is. I'm open to it, and let's talk. I talk UNC hoops anywhere, anytime, with anyone. So again, like I said, this is the most exciting time of the year, probably besides March Madness. Just the excitement in the air and everything leading up to it. So I know I'm pumped, but let's jump into what we're really here for, the player predictions for this season. just kind of what I expect. And also, I found an article. Again, it will be in the description in the show notes, but it is actually well, I guess it's from 24/7 Sports, Carolina Blue, the affiliate for them. But they have listed here what Sports Illustrated has kind of projected for our players, which is a little strange because they left Theo Penson out. They have 7 guys. They got Marcus Page, Bryce Johnson, Justin Jackson, Kennedy Meeks, Isaiah Hicks, Nate Britton, and Joel Berry. So Joel James is not on here. Theo Penson, which definitely is the main one, isn't on there. And then our freshmen, which they probably just didn't want to project the freshmen. So that's a little bit strange. But the guys they have on here, I'll go through and project out what they have, and then I've gone through and written down kind of what I think players need to do, what I expect them to do this season. So let's jump right on in there. And as I'm doing that, I would love to hear, and I actually posted a poll on Twitter of who you think the 5th starter will be. I think it's pretty unanimous that everybody thinks the 4 returning starters will be starters again. That is, Kennedy Meeks at center, Bryce Johnson at power forward, Justin Jackson, whether you say he's a 2 or 3, whatever, he'll be starting. And then Marcus Page, whether he starts at point guard or shooting guard, will be starting as well. So I posted a poll on Twitter, and it was actually on the podcast Twitter at UNC Hoops Talk, about who you think the 5th starter will be for the Tar Heels. It only gave me 2 options. So I put Joel Berry or Theo Penson. But if you think it's somebody else, I put in there to reply to the tweet with somebody else. And I'll even, I just did that before I started recording. But I update Twitter right now real quick. We have 119 votes. 60% say it's going to be Theo Penson. 40% going to say it's going to be Joel Berry, and nobody's replied yet. So no other votes yet. But again, go check it out. Put your vote in. And obviously we'll find out. I'm going to try not to reveal who I think it's going to be in this podcast, and kind of see what that comes back. And then the next podcast, I will reveal what I think my starting lineup will be. Now, when I think about this stuff, I think about when we get into ACC play, when we're into tournament play and stuff, who the majority of the season was starting, because obviously Roy could start somebody, and Theo, coming up injury. Maybe if you think it's going to be Theo, maybe he doesn't start the first few games or whatever. Maybe he goes with Nate Britt because he's a junior. He's been there longer. So Roy could do that. I'm talking about the main part of the season. Who's going to be the starter? Who's really, when we think back to the 2015-16 season, who do we remember as being that 5th starter? So again, go check it out. But let's dive into these predictions here. If you're watching the video, I'm looking down. That's because I did write out notes for each player. So that's what I'm looking at if I'm looking down here. But we'll start obviously with Marcus Page. So first, Sports Illustrated projected him to score 14.3 points, 3.6 rebounds, have 4.6 assists in not even, I guess it's how many minutes out of the season he plays or whatever, but in 82% of game minutes. I don't think they're far off of the points. I think about 14 points is probably about right. He's too unselfish, and we're too deep and too talented for him to just kind of go off. Of course, I think there's going to be nights where he does, but as far as we're talking average-wise, I think around 14, 15 points is probably about right. I think for an average 3.6 rebounds, it might be a little high, but I guess you say around, high 2s into 3 rebounds a game might be right for him. But I don't know that he gets 4.6 assists per game either, unless we're playing him mainly at point guard. I don't know that he gets 4.6 assists a game. I think he's capable. I just think we count on him for too much scoring for him to get that. But I guess if you say he gets double teamed a lot, or people run at him and he finds the open guy, or even transition, could happen, I guess. But I don't expect his rebounds assists necessarily to be that high. I think, my notes are he's going to be Marcus Page. We got to make sure that he's not too unselfish, especially because I think the help around him is going to be better. I don't think, he can't, just because they are doing better, I don't think he can just go back to kind of being just a facilitator. We need him to score and to be aggressive and to look for his shot, look for his driving lanes, and that kind of stuff. At the same time, defenses are going to key on him. Everybody knows who Marcus Page is and what he's capable of. So in that sense, we need to make sure that, he's not being too unselfish and, man, am I saying that weird? Unselfish. And, that he's looking out for the team and doing what they need him to. So, and not counting on just that help is what I'm getting at. But I think he'll be all right. I don't know that he is going to end up on the All-American teams because of that. But I don't think he cares either. So that's good. Bryce Johnson, SI has him projected at 13.8 points a game, 8.6 rebounds a game, 1.1 assists per game, and 65% of the game minutes. And actually, the stat I agree with the most is the 65% of the game minutes. I think just over half of the minutes is about a good place for him. I don't know that he's going to get 8.6 rebounds a game. Assists, probably about right, about 1 points. I think he can get a little bit more. I think him and Marcus might actually vie for scoring leader as far as average goes. But I think Marcus will have, those blow up games where he gets 25 points or whatever. And I don't know that Bryce necessarily has those in him. We need to make sure we keep him out of foul trouble, which, would maybe help him, but that's also kind of what hurts him. But yeah, I guess I don't disagree that much with about 13 points a game, especially if he's just playing over half of the game. If he's playing 24 minutes a game or something like that, I think I could agree with that, about 13 points for him. I wrote down he needs to have a higher motor, more consistently or all the time. My problem with Bryce is kind of like what you see with NBA scouts or with NBA teams is once they get to be seniors, you kind of know what to expect. And to me, it's like, what will Bryce improve over last year? Hopefully he'll be more consistent. Hopefully the fouls will be down. He'll be smarter in that way, which still comes down to what he struggled with coming into UNC as his defense. So yeah, hopefully he's improved on that. But really, when you look at him as a player, like where is he going to drastically improve? He's not going to be that much better of a shooter, I don't think, or even play away from the basket that much more. Maybe he's a better shot blocker. Hopefully he's a better defender, but just drastically, I don't think there's that much of a change. So I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, I think he can play with a higher motor more of the time. He gets those dunks or whatever. He gets that mean face and whatnot, but it's not consistent enough. At least for me, I want it to be more consistent, and hopefully work on his basketball IQ as well. I don't know. We'll go there later maybe. Next up, Justin Jackson, coming off hot finish of his freshman year. SI has him at 13.4 points per game, 5.2 rebounds per game, 2.3 assists per game, and 78% of game minutes. Hopefully, I would like to see those percentages higher. I don't think he's a liability really anywhere. So I don't think we need to take him out unless he is really tired or foul trouble or anything like that. I think he has the potential to be scoring more than that. But again, because of the way he finished his freshman year, I think teams know about him and will kind of key on him after Marcus. I think Justin is the person that most teams will be worried about. And again, being just a sophomore, I don't know how he handles, extra attention on defense or anything like that. Again, potential-wise, I think it's all there for him. He can be really, really good. He's got that floater. If his outside shot is better, he said he's been working on rebounding better, both offensively and defensively. So hopefully 5 rebounds. I'd take that 5 rebounds from him a game. I'd take that in a heartbeat. I think he's actually 1 year away. I think his junior year is where he kind of blows up and he just breaks out, kind of after Marcus is gone. But, if I'm wrong, he may not even be around for his junior year. If we have a great season, we win it all or something, and he's a main part of that, he may leave for the NBA, and we won't even get to see that. But I don't my predict. I don't think he's gonna have a bad season by any means. I just think he's kind of 1 year away from really blowing up and being really good. Um, so yeah, I mean that's what I kind of wrote. Can he continue the hot streak? Will he be a better outside shooter, which we need him to be? Hopefully, questions he answers and answers early and often. But then our last returning starter, Kennedy Meeks, SI has at 12.3 points a game, 8.2 rebounds a game, and 1.2 assists per game, and 62% of game minutes. So again, just over, a little over half of the game minutes, which is good. We have kind of those four big guys. We have Bryce Johnson, Kennedy Meeks, Isaiah Hicks, all big time players, and then Joel James that can definitely get some minutes in there. And I think it almost, especially those first three, Bryce, Kennedy, and Isaiah, I think it does need to be almost even minutes. And I think that's, I think even Bryce and Isaiah being on the court together could be our best team at times, just being a little more athletic, explosive, that kind of stuff. But yeah, as far as Kennedy goes, I don't know that we're going to get 12 points out of him. I did write down here that I think he needs to average around a double-double. And that doesn't mean it has to be a double-double, but I think he needs to be, 8, 9 rebounds a game, 10, 11 points a game. And obviously the big question with Kennedy Meeks is, he lost more weight. Can he be more explosive? Can he stay out of foul trouble? Can he play more minutes without being so fatigued? And then I also put down, does he have a go-to post move? In the first couple of years, we've seen Kennedy get the ball, and he kind of drop steps, and then it's pumping, a bunch of pump fakes, and then goes up with it, and maybe gets blocked, maybe squeezes it in there, whatnot. But does he have a refined go-to post move? And that's what he really needs if he's even looking at the next level. Again, with him not being as explosive, he needs something like that. So. And hopefully Sean May being on staff, they continue to work at that. He gets better and it looks better. So I hope. But yeah, then I guess we can jump into, whoever you think the next starter is going to be. Like I said, SI doesn't have Theo Pinson projected here, so I guess we'll go to Joel Berry. They project Joel Berry at 6.1 points per game, 1.5 rebounds a game, and 2 assists a game. Now, if he's the starter, I would say just about all those should be higher. If he's starting and getting, has him getting just under 50% of the, just under half of, so like, what is that, 18 minutes a game, 17 minutes a game? I think if he's going to be the starter, he needs to be up over 20. I think he needs to average, 7 to 8 points a game. Rebounds, 1 to 2, hopefully more around 2 rebounds a game. But as assists, if you're going to be our point guard, starting point guard, you got to be up over 2 assists. Then you'd be averaging at least, I'd say, 4 assists a game. But I guess it just depends how much, Marcus handles the ball, if he's even at the 2, than Joel Berry. But to me, I think Joel Berry is one of the most improved players from last year this year. I think he was just hitting his stride when he got hurt last year. Never quite got back to where he was. Has to be a better shooter. And he said that's what he's been working on in the offseason. Needs to be more aggressive going to the hole. There's flashes of him really going to the hole and looking quite good. It's got to be more consistent, though, on that front. And again, if he's going to be our starting point guard, he needs to be able to, run the team and be efficient in that sense. And so I guess my question is, too, if you think, whether you think he's the starter or not, is how much do him and Nate Britt kind of split time? And I'll go to Nate again just because Theo's not on this list for SI, but they have Nate Britt at 6.7 points a game, 1.7 rebounds, 2 assists in 46% of the game minutes. So they actually project Nate to have a better season in that sense than Joel Berry, getting more minutes, scoring more points, more rebounds, same amount of assists. If Joel's our starter, I think we need to go with him. He needs to get more. Like I said, he's got to be more around 50% of the minutes. Marcus playing a few at the point. Obviously, like when Theo comes in, and then Nate, I would say, needs to be the 12, 13 minutes a game, or 10 minutes a game guy, which obviously would drop his points down. But that's the other question: is does he get lost then? Junior point guard. He's been through a lot. He's helped. He's been productive for us. Not a great shooter, which again could keep him out of the lineup. But can he split with Britt, or does he get lost? How efficient is he? Again, late in game situations, he was money for us last year. His free throw percentage is awesome for that, and ball handling skills, of course. And the other question is, and they've even been asked it, and I think I covered it on last podcast, is do we play 3-point guards at a time? Is Joel, Nate, and Marcus all in the lineup together? Especially late game situations where we want ball handlers in the game. So I guess that'll be interesting. I don't necessarily project him out to be 6.7 points a game. Hopefully his assists are over 2, especially if he's getting that kind of minutes. But that'll be interesting. That's kind of the debate we had last year on this podcast was, Nate or Joel and who it should be. So again, if you have strong feelings about that, I'd love to hear those. Tweet them at me, email me, message me somewhere. I'll get it. Don't worry about that. But then again, before we get to Theo, I know I keep saying this, but Isaiah is the last guy they have here on these projections. So we'll go to him next. Just make sure I didn't miss anything on Nate there. They project Isaiah Hicks at 10 points a game, 4.8 rebounds a game, and 0.6 assists in 56% of game minutes. I kind of like those. I would like the rebounds to be higher. I think one of the things I wrote down for Isaiah is he needs to rebound like he did in high school. If you remember when we recruited, or even after he had committed, kind of the championship run in his senior year of high school, last couple of games he was having like 30 points and 30 rebounds a game. Now I don't expect him to get 30 rebounds a game in college, especially off the bench. But if he can average 6, 7, 8 rebounds, especially if he's getting over, getting around or over 20 minutes a game, if he's getting 18 to 21 minutes a game, I think he needs to get at least 6 rebounds a game on an average. And, maybe there is a game where he goes off and he's got 12 rebounds a game or, whatever. But a lot of talk about Isaiah coming out of the offseason, pros from pickup games. Roy said that's where he's been hearing a lot of talk is about Isaiah and the improvements he made in the offseason. And just like I said, Justin Jackson, I think he's a year away from breaking out. I think this is Isaiah's breakout year. I think he comes, if he can translate all that summer stuff into games, he's ready to break out. He's the most talked about person from teammates, like I said, former pros playing against him. But he needs to be that energy guy off the bench. Especially, I think Theo is the other guy that has the potential of being the energy guy. If he's starting, then Isaiah needs to come in and be that energy guy and just dunk on people and grab rebounds and play tough defense. He's athletic enough as a big guy to play some really good defense, even out on the wings, if necessary. And he just needs to come in, put in his minutes, and just be the energy guy. Like I said, dunk on people. He can step away and shoot a little bit. And yeah, just grab every rebound when he's in the game. And I think he has that potential. I think he can do it. I really like Isaiah as a player. And hopefully I'm right. Hopefully this is a breakout year. I don't think anybody would be against that. So then Theo Pinson, again, I don't have projected out stats. Again, it depends if he's the starter, if he's getting off the bench. But even if he's not the starter, if him and Joel even kind of split some minutes, and then that just moves Marcus over to the point when Theo's in. But if he's healthy, if he's coming off the bench, he's got to be that energy guy, just like I just said with Isaiah, because he's capable of that. When he does come in, he needs to make better decisions, definitely take better shots. Last year, he was kind of like a street baller, just chucking stuff up. When he got in the game, it was like throwing him the ball and it's up out of his hands in a split second. So he's got to make better decisions, take better shots. But he needs to have. I don't want to limit him to this, but he needs to be a slasher. He needs to be a shutdown defender. But I do think he has a better shot than Jackie, so I don't want to limit him to that. But but that's the kind of role he needs to be in, and that's what he needs to look to bring to this team. Bring energy, bring defense, and then just slash and dunk over people, and but definitely take better shots is what he needs to do, whether he's starting or taking out the bench, coming off the bench or anything. So last guy we really need to maybe hit on. I mean, that's already, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's 8 guys. So that's pretty much when we get into ACC schedule, what the rotation will look like. Of course, we haven't hit on Joel James yet, or either of the freshmen. But yeah, that's. I mean, 8 is usually the rotation that we're looking at, and Roy will maybe throw in a 9th or even a 10th guy, but their minutes are limited. It's 2, 3, maybe 5 minutes here and there, which that means it's pretty deep. I like that, but we have to talk about Joel James, senior big man, kind of that 4th big man for the Heels, giving Kennedy a rest. He needs to be improved offensively. I think he will be. I still think he's going to be very up and down. A lot of fans probably going to be still frustrated with him at times, but I do think he'll be improved. He needs to stay out of foul trouble. And he's kind of even talked about this. It would be great if it comes to fruition, but needs to be kind of that bruiser. He's not afraid to lace him when he's back, or if they come down the lane, give him a hard foul or whatever. So that it kind of needs to be his role. But and again, they don't have projected minutes or anything. But if you're thinking 40 minutes a game, man. If Bryce is getting 25, I didn't work this out ahead, so this is going to be just super interesting podcasting, but to listen to. But if you're thinking Bryce gets about 25 minutes a game, and Kennedy gets 22 minutes a game, Isaiah gets 22 a game, that's still leaving 13 minutes a game, which might be a little bit high for Joel James. So maybe I don't know, he can pull it off. If he gets 9, 10, 11 minutes a game, and then there's about 3 minutes a game that we go small with Justin Jackson at the 4, or Theo at the 4, or even Luke May comes in and get a couple minutes here and there, that could work out. I'm not opposed to that, I guess. But yeah, to get those 10 minutes a game, he's going to have to be improved defensively. Going to have to be a better rebounder. He's never been a great rebounder for as big as he is. And I don't know if that's his hands or whatnot. He definitely doesn't have those Sean May hands. So hopefully another benefit to having Sean on the staff. But needs to improve rebounding. I think he will be better offensively, but rebounding better, staying out of foul trouble, and just playing better defense. And that's in the team concept. I don't even mean one-on-one, like helping guys out and whatnot. So that's Joel James. That would be our 9th guy in the rotation. I wrote down Stillman White because he's on scholarship, but he's not going to see meaningful minutes this year. Nothing really else to say about that. That brings us up kind of to our freshmen. There's been a lot of talk, especially since late night, about our freshmen, people saying they didn't look ready. Neither of them are going to have an impact this year, stuff like that. But again, it's late night with Roy. You're seeing a 20-minute scrimmage. This is their first time in front of 20,000 fans in the Dean Dome. I mean, can you imagine if you were in that environment for the first time as a 18-year-old, and everybody's just going crazy, and your emotions got to be crazy. I would be so hyped up and yet so nervous, and how can you perform under that? So don't take that worth really anything. But also, that being said, I don't think Luke May has much of an impact this year. With our 4 big guys there, even if you said the 3 main ones with Bryce, Kennedy, and Isaiah, not a lot of minutes for Luke, and then Joel James is going to get those minutes before Luke. So I don't think he's going to have much of an impact. I think Roy is going to play him in the early games, the non-conference games, stuff like that, get his feet wet, get him acclimated to college basketball, because we are going to need him next year and going forward. I think he can develop into a nice little step away four-man, maybe put some pressure on guys guarding him away from the basket because he can knock down a jumper or even drive by you. And maybe open that up for Kennedy next year, or if we can get Azubuike, or really even Tony Bradley, because he's got some nice post moves as well for a big man. Open it up for, play maybe a little bit more 4 out, 1 in offense, and post up somebody else and him be a threat from 15 to 17 feet, knocking down jumpers. But not going to happen this year. And I don't necessarily say it's because he's not ready. I mean, he's not going to explode or anything like that. He could get minutes at a lot of places, and he may get a few minutes at UNC, but not going to have much of an impact. Kenny Williams, a little harder to project because we do got a lot of wing guys, especially moving Marcus over to the 2. Obviously, we got the 3-point guards. We got Pinson, Justin Jackson. Obviously, it helps his case a little bit more, and probably why he even came here is because JP left. But it's going to come down to really how consistent he is. Obviously, he's coming in as a shooter, but if he can defend guys, if he can handle the ball a little bit, which people have said he can, and then be consistent knocking on the 3, there's going to be some minutes for him. Maybe it's only 8 minutes a game. But those could be big minutes, especially, again, if he's knocking down the 3 ball. Everybody knows UNC needs somebody to knock it down. My issue is, if you even remember, PJ's freshman year came in as a shooter, was quite inconsistent. He would shoot them, but they just wouldn't necessarily go in. So that's where it's going to come down to, is how consistent he is, how quickly, because we are a veteran team, he can nail down the offense and not be thinking out there, just kind of reacting and playing, and then not being consistent and knocking down those shots. I don't think he gets even 10 minutes a game. Like, again, early on, sure, he'll get those minutes where we'll play him and give him chances and stuff. Once we get into it, I don't know if he gets over 10 minutes a game or even 10 minutes a game. But that doesn't mean he couldn't have an impact. He could be very important for us, even getting 6 to 8 minutes a game. If he can come in and knock down 1 or 2 threes, and other people know he can shoot too, so they will have to at least stay on him. So maybe when he doesn't knock it down, if he draws people away from the basket and excuse me, opens up lanes for our drives and for our big men to have room to operate down there, still have an impact, but maybe not a major one that people are talking about. So that's, again, if you count 9 with our 2 freshmen, maybe 10, 11 guys. We're not going to play that all year anyway. So we'll see. Obviously, injuries always play a role in that kind of stuff. But it'll be exciting. Like we said at the beginning of the podcast, we're going to be top 5 in Emory poll, if not number 1 in most of them. We're going to have that target on our back. We need the veteran guys to lead us and play well. We need Tar Heel Nation to unite and cheer the guys on and be supportive. And that's what this podcast is all about. It's about uniting Tar Heel Nation. If you go to a place where you can support the podcast, is patreon.com, Patreon, patreon.com, become a patron, which would mean you can give as little as $1 a month to help support and make this podcast better. But if you go there, the reason I was saying that was not just to get money or anything from you. The mission of this podcast is to unite Tar Heel Nation, and I want to do that through Twitter. I want to do that through Vine, obviously through Patreon, mostly through the podcast. But then also, if you've listened to the past couple of podcasts, I've mentioned doing periscopes before the game and at the halftime of the game, just to communicate with you guys. Obviously, the players, the coaches, staff isn't going to hear anything I have to say, but just to connect with the rest of Tar Heel Nation. And then post game, I want to get here on blab.im, which is where I'm recording this podcast. It allows 4 people to get on video, and you can jump in and out really easily. It's not even as hard as Skype. So if you haven't checked out blab.im, check it out. Follow me. I don't know. I think at All Tar Heel Dan as well, but always search Danny Witt, and you should be able to find me. I got the Tar Heel jersey on with the trophy and all that stuff. But connect with me, and I want to have post game shows, like 15, 20, 30 minutes where we just kind of discuss the game that just happened, what's coming up for the Tar Heels, that kind of stuff. right after the game. So definitely check it out. And again, let's unite as Tar Heel Nation to support this team in the run that we're going to have, because it can be special and it can be a lot of fun. So we got to stay positive and do that for the guys. And make sure you're subscribed to the podcast. That's the best way to support it anyway. You can find it on iTunes, Stitcher, pretty much any podcast player that you have on your phone or iPod or iPad or anything like that. Subscribe, leave a review, help other people find the show. Maybe even the best way to spread the word and to support the show would be just to tell somebody else. If you got some other Tar Heel fan and you're like, hey, have you heard the UNC Hoops Talk podcast? You know, it's a great place to get to hear about the Tar Heels, but also keep up on the news and everything like that. So I would love that support. Again, it's on YouTube as well. If you want to watch the video, I know it's not as interesting to watch me as I talk for however long it is. I try to keep them as short as I can, not to waste any of your time, but just to give you all the news. And on that topic of YouTube, I actually created a new YouTube channel. It's UNC Tar Heels Highlights. You should be able to search it. I'll put a link in the description as well. But yeah, obviously it's my goal just to throw up highlights there. If you have highlights, if you go to a game or anything like that, or if you see I missed something, please send it to me. And I'd love to get it up there. I want it a place just to be, Tar Heel highlights. I got a couple videos up there. I got one of just Snapchat pictures from Late Night with Roy. Again, I'll put that description in the description. I'll put that link in the description. Easy for me to say. But yeah, I'd love for you to subscribe there to check out all the highlights after games and stuff. But again, like I said, if you want to, if I miss something and you have it, if you have a video, or if you're in person at a UNC game and you got a highlight, send it to me and I'll throw it up on YouTube for all of Tar Heel Nation to see. You can send it email, unchoopstalk@gmail.com, or otherwise just connect with me on Twitter and we'll find a way for you to get it to me. My Twitter is @alltarheeldan. But yeah, subscribe to that YouTube channel as well. And just keep supporting our Tar Heels, man. It's the best thing that we can do. That's all I got. I've rambled on enough, taken enough of your time. But sorry, I can't help it. This is, like I said, for the third time this podcast, I'm saying that this is the most exciting time of the year besides March Madness. So I'm ready for basketball to be here. I'm ready to start going to weekly podcasts in a couple of weeks. We probably won't be, like I said, probably won't get 4 in November, but we're almost there, and we're almost to game time. And it's so exciting, especially this year with our Tar Heels. It's going to be awesome. So that's all I got for you guys. I will see you in the next one. But until then, always remember, go Heels.